Welcome to our podcast, Broker Banter Denver, where we are breaking down barriers to home ownership. I'm your host, Kim Davis, the real estate expert.
And I'm Patrick Williams, the mortgage guy. We're here to inform and educate about the home buying and financing process.
And on today's podcast, it's the first one of the 2025 new year, but we're going to talk about last year's real estate numbers in the Denver metro area, give you a quick update on interest rates, and catch up. It's been a while.
It's been a little bit. I see you got some bangs.
I did.
Those are
bangs
new.
are in.
Okay.
So, if you want to see them,
You should go up and like high, like back in the day.
Do like the total 90s,
some, like,
80s,
Aquanet?
rat it out, right? Is
Yeah.
that what they did?
I think,
That's what I did,
Some
I
Aquanet?
think. Yeah.
Get some
It's
Aquanet
like
in there.
80s,
Go
late
big.
80s. No, this is like
No, I think it looks good.
2025
No, it looks good. It looks good. I like
them.
them.
Very Asian.
Well, you
Wait.
are Asian. For
I am
those of
Asian.
you who may only listen to our audio, Kim Davis is Asian.
Yes.
Yeah.
I look even more Asian with bangs, but it's okay. I like being Asian. So
I like them. I think they look good.
So, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It's,
Kwanzaa,
we've actually
Hanukkah.
seen each other, but yeah.
Yeah.
Any,
Did you have a good holiday season?
It was good. Nothing too much to complain about. My daughter turned 21, went
That's
to Vegas.
exciting.
Had a
Yeah.
probably the best Vegas trip we've ever had. We all came out winners as we were.
That's what she means by best trip, meaning
Yes.
that everybody
It was
had a cash out
winning.
ticket, I
Yes,
believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. As we were leaving, we played, in the airport.
Yeah.
I asked the guys, like, what's your favorite machine? And he said, this one. My daughter and I went, pushed it a few times. I can't even remember if we made another $200 or $400.
Really?
But it was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
We had a layover. My wife and I celebrated 20 years.
Happy
December
anniversary.
18th. Thank you very much. So we celebrated and took a little trip and had a layover in Vegas.
Okay.
And I was like, should we hit some slots
Yes.
while we were hanging out at the Vegas airport?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we didn't. We had some drinks at the lounge and
See,
just kind of
this is where the Asian comes in, the Vietnamese. I don't know if you know, we like to gamble a little
Do
bit
you?
in a generalization,
yeah,
if we're going to do that.
an overgeneralization. But
I would be over there right at the slot machines.
You're like, all right.
I mean, if they only had a craps table, which that's fun. I taught my daughter how to play craps. I don't know if that's good mothering or not, but
I mean, it's better to teach her how to play than for her to try to figure it out on her own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want the kids teaching her that.
No, you got to show her how to throw the dice for real.
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, there is a way.
There is a way. It was great holiday season. It's been really cold.
Yes, we've had that Arctic freeze. We're just at the very end of that.
Did you see that it snowed in New Orleans and Florida?
In Florida?
Yeah.
North
And
Carolina.
Texas,
and,
in Galveston.
yes, and couple inches.
Yeah,
not just
no, it's the most
dusting.
significant fall in the state of Florida ever.
Really?
Yeah, I think the previous was 4 inches. It's only in the Panhandle,
Right.
But I think the previous was 4 inches in a town that my grandma actually used to live in, Milton, Florida.
Milton?
Yeah, tiny little town in the Panhandle. But now they got more than that, like in the Destin area,
Really?
like 5 inches of snow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that puts those towns it just closes them down because they don't have.
They don't plows. They don't, the airports too. They don't have like the de-icing machines or anything like that.
Right.
So it just shuts things down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard the same thing in Texas. They said, I think was it Houston? They said they usually put down some kind of like brine. I think they said brine, which I was like, salt
Like for your
water?
turkey?
Yeah, that's what I think I read, and they put it on the roadways to kind of
Salt. I guess salt.
That's what I
Yeah.
was
So
thinking.
kind of similar, like the mag chloride that we do here.
But why not just put the salt down?
Well, because they
Maybe.
don't have it.
Oh,
Like they
yeah.
probably use like a water truck, and they have to.
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know, but I do know when things happen down there, everybody just freaks out, and everything just closes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's supposed to get a little bit nicer, hopefully.
Man, it was so cold.
Yeah.
So cold.
Hey, I mean, not that we need to be political, but got a new president in, and
We did. Yeah, that was interesting to watch
yes.
the inauguration on Monday.
Right.
Monday? Yeah, which also was
Monday?
Martin Luther King Day.
Martin
I don't
Luther
know
King,
if that's ever coincided together or not.
Yeah.
So the markets were closed because of Martin Luther King Day, so we didn't really get any reaction to some of the things that he said
until the morning,
till
the next
Tuesday.
morning?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the markets were actually closed
Okay.
on Inauguration Day
Yes.
for MLK.
So we'll talk about that here in a little bit
Yeah,
later
we've
segment.
got some
but let's-
updates that based on some of the executive orders and things that he said, it's really hard to keep up with it all because there's
Right.
been so many already. But I do think there might be some good news in there for home buyers. Yes, I do. He talked about trying to, help affordability and things like that. So we'll touch
maybe
base on that.
Maybe we should just jump into it now. I
Okay.
mean, we can start with financing. I mean, it's season 2. We can switch up
season
the
2.
order.
Yeah, I like that.
That's
it is
what we're-
season 2.
Yeah, first we'll call it season 2 and
2025.
2025.
My
That's crazy.
thrive in 2025. That's my motto for the year.
Oh,
You
I like that. I do like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good year.
I hope so because 2024 was a little rough.
It,
Personally, for me.
I think but
Business. I mean, not personally, but
no,
business wise.
right? You
yeah.
didn't have any tragedy or big things
Right,
in your
right,
family, but no,
right.
she's speaking. Yeah, but I think for most people in real estate, mortgage,
Yes.
2024 wasn't a fantastic year. So I am encouraged by what I'm seeing coming into 2025 and the outlook for the year. So Trump
He
signed like an executive order. I think on Tuesday.
one of like hundreds.
Yeah, I think he had almost 200 or
We'll
something.
see how many actually follow through. How many there's already.
Well, I mean,
once again, we are not a political show, but
no.
But let's just talk about.
It's just there was a lot. It was a flurry of these executive orders.
Correct.
So it's kind of like trying to sort out all the pieces and figure out what's going on after the fact.
I am hoping that he will sign something about interest rates. Those 2-3% were pushed down for a long time, like artificially.
Yes.
That was not where they should have been.
No.
That was the government. And I know that some people who probably look at the economy differently might not love that. But as a realtor and a mortgage broker who want to get you into a house,
I don't care who you are. I think affordability when it comes to housing is an issue, right? Like going from 2019 or 2020 to 2025, everybody knows housing prices, interest rates. It's it's
and
become a
affordability
massive
is crazy.
issue.
So the one that he has signed really doesn't help. Probably in the short term that
I would
President Trump
agree
signed.
with that statement.
He is going to deregulate a little bit of the cost to build because of us having a lack of housing. So then in the future, and who knows, that could be a few years
couple
away.
Years. It could be before we actually see. So what he's doing is he's saying basically, as a home builder,
Yes.
all of the regulations and red tape that you got to figure out with permitting and all of the things that go along with building new homes, acquiring land, all of that stuff. We're going to deregulate that part for you. And they anticipate, as of like today, before he signed this executive order, the average home in America is right around $400,000, right? Average. That $50,000 of that home price is to cut through all of that red tape and all of that regulation. So I think that's a step in the right direction, but I think that is a long term. We're not going to see any immediate impacts from that. And
let's remember it's federal, right? And so there's a lot of permitting is state and county. So we'll see if that trickles down or not.
Yeah. But I think
it's a start.
I mean, the encouraging piece that I see is that he has identified that affordability in the housing market is an issue and that he wants to address it.
Yes.
To me...
And quickly, which is nice.
Well, and I'm sorry, we have some low-hanging fruit here, right? I mean, what he's doing now is great, but I don't think we'll see any impact from these for at least 18 to 24 months.
At least.
Right?
So we'll see. But it's nice that it's at least
on the radar. Yeah, I agree. But so here's the low-hanging fruit, though. What affects housing affordability the most? Interest rates.
Right.
Like if we can get interest rates to come down, I mean, currently the last 6 weeks of the year since we did our last podcast, rates have gone up.
Yes.
Like drastically. And we were at a point where we were at we matched the all-time highs from 24 before the Fed cut. And it's like, what is going on here?
Remember a couple months ago?
We were popping champagne and I mean, it did. Maybe that was a little premature.
It was a little premature and we just thought it was good news.
It was good news and it still is good news. But what happened was
Tell me, Patrick, tell me what happened.
The inflation we started seeing kind of come back up.
Right.
Like the Fed all of a sudden said, no, we're not going to cut rates 4 times next year. We maybe cut 2. So everybody freaked out in the bond market, and we ended up seeing rates go back up to the same levels they were in July before the Fed cut.
Yeah, it was like a high.
Yeah, we were like 7.25 again.
Right, yes.
So thankfully, since then, the end of last week was really good. We had a couple really good days where like the inflation numbers came in. They were lower actually than expected, so that helped a lot. Some of the Fed is coming back out and saying, no, we probably do 1.25 next year.
Right.
So 4 cuts in total. So
we're still hoping, right? Are we still? Well, they're thinking lower 6. There's a smaller chance of us hitting 5.
I don't anticipate us hitting 5 in 2025.
There's some sort of
some type of mandate from the new administration affecting affordability, something like that. But they are coming back down. So that's good news. You know, for people who are wanting to do something here in this first quarter, which you and I have talked about, there's good opportunity in the first quarter here, especially in the Denver market.
Especially, we're talking about Denver market. I mean, it's a great time to buy. I keep telling, my clients to not wait. I mean, because if it gets down closer to the 5s, you're going to see a lot of people jump back in this market. I think we talked about it a couple months ago too, about the age of first-time home buyers going up. And that we know that there's a lot of home, and the reason why those numbers are a little bit skewed was probably because there are people that have been waiting on the sidelines to get in. And so we're hoping, I think you're probably hoping that you can get in this year. So
well, and we talked about, in a previous podcast, if you haven't watched it yet, the cost of waiting. And what that actually does to continue to kick that can down the road. Everybody waited last year for rates to come down. And yes, they came down towards the end of the year, but you can't really depend on, okay, rates are coming down. I'm going to plan on buying at the second half of this year. Well, then all of a sudden they come back up.
Right.
And so.
And I think the important thing is that, by the time you guys hear about, the Fed cutting, which once again is not directly correlated with interest rates, you should always call Patrick or, to check. Because when we popped the champagne, that was the low. That was the low. And then they went high from there. But the public thought, hey, I just heard that the Fed cut the rates, and then they called us and
I think we've talked about that too, but I'll just kind of reiterate a little bit is the Fed and what they're looking at. They look at backward facing data, right?
Correct.
So they're looking at last month's inflation report, last month's job report, where the 10-year, which is what is most closely followed for mortgage rates, is forward looking. So it's anticipating what the numbers are going to be, looking at analytics and things like that. And so when you hear that the Fed has cut, you might have already missed the boat, which is what we saw when we were popping the corks.
Right. Yeah. And like you're saying, we're already seeing lower interest rates. They're coming down from those.
We have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've already started to come down, but there's no speak of interest rates are coming down.
Correct.
Right? So that's a good reason to get in touch with me. I'm glad to monitor those rates for you. There's some people who said, hey, when rates hit 6.75, we want to be ready to go. So they have kind of almost like a break point, right? As soon as rates hit this level, we want to be ready to go. And so I'm glad to do that for you if that's something that you have like a rate in mind that you'd like to be at.
Yeah. And then there are, of course, tricks, but 2-1 buy downs, 3-2-1 buy downs, an ARM, 30-year regular fixed,
there's a lot of ways to work it out to where maybe you get into the house now, and then short term we get a lower interest rate in order for you to be able to take advantage of the upcoming
So
equity.
I think as we move forward in 2025, you're going to hear us probably repeat some things that we did on our first year of the podcast, but that's because, financing is always important and people will continue to tune in and who maybe won't go back and find those. So you'll hear some of that. But you want to get into these 2024 numbers? Or?
I think, let's dig in.
Yeah. So just to give you the recap of what happened last year, if you look page 9, just so we're on the same page, but
that is helpful.
Year to date, So we ended the year, which December, with 6,888 active listings, which, just to give you an idea, in 2021, when things were just crazy, we ended up with 1,477 listings. So, I mean, just under 1,500, and we're almost at 7,000.
That's over 4 times the amount of inventory on the market. Now, let's be clear that $1,400 or 1,400 number.
That's just listings.
Right. That's not a healthy market.
No,
that was during those crazy times where people were, waiving inspection. And
correct. And
like 50,000 over asking or 100,000.
Yes,
yeah.
25 offers on one house, selling within
hours.
Or
people might have started
correct.
following the market during that period. We need to make sure that you understand that that's not a typical
that is
market.
Not, no. But I think I'm just trying to show, like, hey, but if we go from 23 to 24, it was about 4,000 at the end of 2023. We're at, close to 7,000. So just showing you that, hey, buyers, this is a great time to buy. You have, some negotiation that you can do. You don't have to pay asking price. Of course, sellers would like that, but you don't have to.
Well, and I think the one number that I'm looking at on here that kind of gives you an idea of how much leverage you'll have in the market as a buyer is the average days on MLS, right?
Yes,
and that's 38. Which the year before was 32. The year before that was 18.
Right.
So, I mean, things are sitting on the market for longer.
Correct.
Right.
And we'll see those days on markets continue to tick up, because I would tell you that the feel that I get, is really, we're closer to a 60 to 90 day market. Just depending. Of course, everything has to be priced right. We need buyers to jump in the market, but that's why it's good for buyers right now.
Well, and there is a seasonal lull through the holidays.
Correct.
That December can be a little like, you can't gauge 2024 off of like December and the first week of January, because it's just everybody's got the holiday hangover.
Correct.
People aren't looking to buy or sell during that period.
I feel like I'm just getting over that hangover.
Yeah, me too.
It's January 22nd.
We're almost done with January.
I know.
Yeah.
And we're just now given 2024 updates.
But it does. It takes a little while for things to kind of start ramping back up, and people starting to think about, that is a goal of 2025 is to get into a new home or sell our home and move up or what have you.
But the phones are ringing. It's been busier than I've seen in months.
I would say the last week for me has been very busy.
Good.
Yes. Like I've had a lot of new applicants, a lot of people looking at getting pre-qualified.
Buyers are tired of, like I said,
they don't want to wait any longer.
Yeah, standing on the sidelines. So let's see what we can do. But another good thing about these numbers is that the price of homes have continued to go. Well, I mean, it's good and it's bad. It's good if you own a house, right? It's good that, and they haven't gone. So the numbers from the year, at the end of the year 2023 to the end of 2024, 679 was the average price point. So let's just say 680,000, and the average price point at the end of 2024 was about 700,000. So we see a small, like 3% rise overall in the Denver metro area of housing prices. Of course, that's average. So there are some neighborhoods that have gone down. There are some neighborhoods that have gone up.
Yeah, these numbers are average. So am I looking at the right thing? I'm seeing close price average 700,000.
Correct.
At the end of 24, whereas 679 at the end of 2023.
Right. I just said 680. I rounded slightly up.
You rounded up.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Look at that.
Thanks.
But that is a year-over-year increase of 3%.
Correct.
Which, we talk about.
It's like I'm repeating myself just now.
It is like that. I just am reiterating the fact that while it seems like 2024 for real estate, I mean, you mentioned it wasn't a great year, right? I mean, there were years where we saw double-digit increases in value. We're not seeing that. Double-digit increases, again, are not the normal. On average, you're somewhere between 3% and 6% a year, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is correct.
So last year was still a very average year in home appreciation. So if you had tried to buy your house in 2023, you would have paid, on average, $680. to where you try to buy your house in 2024, you're paying $20,000 more.
Correct.
And that's kind of what we've talked about.
Right.
It's like even in the down years, the values are still going up, and you're missing out on that equity if you're not in the market.
And I do think that, real estate is a long-term investment. It shouldn't be a quick investment where you're planning on turning it over. That's when you can kind of get in trouble. But I say you should never sell real estate for a loss. You should just hold,
right?
And if you can hold it and wait, and you can make some money off of it.
And I think we've talked about this in the past as well. But, if you are looking at buying a house, the minimum amount of time that you should plan on living in that house and owning that home is probably 2 years.
Yeah.
Like if you don't think you're going to be in the Denver area for 2 years, you should probably rent.
Yeah.
That hurt to say.
I know.
I just advise somebody to rent.
Wow.
But if you don't think you're going to be here, if you're going to buy and sell within a year, it might not be the best idea for you to buy.
Yeah.
2 years. You should try to be in that home for at least 2 years.
Because the likelihood by the time you try to sell, you're going to be at a loss. And we're seeing some of that in some neighborhoods where, the loss might be pretty minimal, but still, you never.
You don't want to have to come to the table selling your home with a check ever. Right. That just seems like a bad idea.
That just broke my heart even more.
You know what, though? There's other options, right? Let's say you don't. I mean, life happens. Some people think they're going to be here for a long time, and then all of a sudden they get a job opportunity.
Correct.
Right? And I mean, there are options, right?
Yes.
Take the house and rent it.
Yes.
Hold it.
Yes.
Rent it.
Yeah.
Let that renter pay your mortgage for you.
Yeah.
Continue to build the equity in the home. And then if you need to buy a home in whatever new location you're going to, well, I'll look at that and I'll say, look, you have rental income to offset this mortgage, and we can help you buy the next house. So there's options.
I think we just thought of a podcast. Like, what happens when you need to
what happens when life happens?
Yes. Oh, that was good.
Because life
brainstorming. This is a brainstorm too.
Welcome to our brainstorming session. Life does happen though, right?
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the majority of the people who I would say I have been helping this year is like life has happened, right?
Exactly. And I would say our life has continued to happen. We've waited and now it's
like we have kids now, our place is too small, we're getting divorced, we're getting married, we have to move, we got a new job, those kind of things.
Patrick and I are entering the empty nester stage where your kids should leave. Keyword is should.
Not always the case. I love my children, and they're always welcome at my home. But no, you're right. I do have a senior this year. She's getting ready to graduate.
Your baby is a senior.
My youngest, I've already got one in college. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It does seem like my house might be a little too big for just my wife and I.
Yeah, I think the same thing about our house, but we'll talk about that some other time. So let's just kind of get back in here. So for first-time homebuyers, I don't know if this is great news, but the median, so the average, of course, being taking into account everything, condos to everything. So median sometimes can help just get a better idea of what.
Because the average includes those $15 million homes.
Correct.
So,
and I heard that Mike Shanahan's house just sold recently. Finally, that sucker had been on the market for a long time. So
in Cherry Hills, right?
Congratulations, Mike Shanahan, for finally selling.
I'm sure he did pretty well on that one. I think he bought that back in the 90s or something.
Yeah. If you don't know who he is, he used to be a Broncos coach.
Kyle Shanahan. Is the 49ers head coach.
Yes,
I think
son of.
Still.
That's why we here in Denver think that the 49ers is just Broncos
2.0. They got John Lynch.
Yeah.
They got Shanahan. I think they even had Kubiak.
They did.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's basically, and we've got McCaffrey there now, who's a Valor kid, right?
Yep.
It is.
Local. Right. And then, but hey, Bo Nix. We're excited about Bo Nix.
That was good. First time back in the playoffs in a long time.
2018?
It was longer than that. Okay. It has been 9 years, Kim. My son was like, Dad, the last time the Broncos were in the playoffs, I was 10. And I was like, holy cow, that was a long time.
I remember
it was Peyton Manning's Super Bowl. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the last time we were in the playoffs.
No. Oh, well, I was thinking 98, 99.
Oh, I remember those
right,
too.
Yeah. I was in my 20s.
I was
early 20s.
Yeah, it was.
You were a teenager.
I was still a teenager in the 90s. I turned 20 in 2000. It's easy for me to remember.
Anyways,
so maybe we didn't banter enough at the beginning.
Maybe we did it. So median 590. It was what it ended up being in 2024, which 578.
Some nice rounding.
Should we say 580 though? But 578 in 2023. So once again, right there, even median went up 2%.
It did. Yep, it still went up. Now, from 22 to 23, I see there was actually a decrease in the median. So there was one year there where the average kind of was flat, but the median actually went down slightly, like $10,000. So, but even in some of those tough, and that was tough year. 23, I think, was tougher than 24.
Yeah, 23 for most real estate agents was tough. I had a good 23. 24 was a little bit tougher for me. But I think what this shows, once again, is just, hey, if you hold on, you're going to get to the other side of it because, like you said, 588 in 2022 is the median, 577 in 23, and now we're back up to 590.
Right.
So exactly what we just talked about, right?
If you had held for 2 years,
yes.
you still have had some appreciation in
Correct.
the home.
Correct.
And it is neighborhood to neighborhood, city to
Absolutely.
city. Literally every independent neighborhood inside that city is different.
Correct.
So reach out to a realtor who can help you kind of dive into those numbers and find some comps in your immediate neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do real numbers, right? Like what things are selling for.
Absolutely.
So, that's residential, detached and attached. Of course, if you go to condos and townhomes have had a really hard struggle this year. HOA prices have gone up. We talked about how HOAs have affected whether you can get a mortgage on a house. We have a lot of that they're still kind of, figuring out. It's been a year since we talked about it, but it is starting, they're figuring out, I think lenders are figuring out ways how to get loans. But I would just say, if you're looking at buying a condo or a townhouse, which that could be the only way you could go.
Right.
You just make sure you speak to a realtor or mortgage broker because there have been some challenges
with the HOAs, specifically with condos. I would say townhouses are a little better off, especially if they're lot and blocked and have individual legal descriptions. But condos can be tough.
Yeah,
and the insurance part of it has been really tough over the last couple of years. And I don't imagine it getting any better. I mean, based on what we're seeing in LA, with all the wildfires and stuff out there, which, man, what a tragedy. We talked about the Marshall Fire here in Colorado, I think that was 2021. I think the scope of that fire was about 1,000 structures.
I thought it was like 2, but maybe it was 1,000. I can't remember.
The last I heard of the fires in LA, it's almost 15,000 homes.
Oh, really?
Structures. Yeah.
Wow.
So the scope. Like that's just I can't. The amount of devastation. So anybody that's been affected by that, our hearts go out to you.
Yes.
The firefighters out there are fantastic.
Yes.
But yeah,
what a tragedy. I can't even.
But again, what happens with those kind of tragedies is it's not just California that's affected by that. While California is going to be I think there's going to be a lot of insurance companies that get out of California altogether. But with that amount of devastation, the cost of rebuilding some of those homes is going to be passed on to everybody else who has insurance.
And we will, have another insurance person, come on to this podcast sometime throughout this year, and we can talk about insurance because California, just like Colorado, a catastrophe state, we have a lot of different issues here. You have probably seen at the beginning of the year your mortgage go up. Now, remember, when that goes up, what is it?
It's your taxes and your insurance. Most people do 30-year fixed anymore, so the principal and interest payment stays the same for the life of the loan. But if you have an escrow account, your taxes change every 2 years, your insurance changes every year. Right. So if those premiums go up, then the difference is going to be added to. And we could talk about escrow shortages and all of those things. That might more brainstorming.
More brainstorming. Yeah. It has been. We're a little rusty, and we need to figure out what our marketing.
Well, you know what though, it's good to be back.
It is.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. So I'm glad we're back. Yeah.
So other than that, let's see here. Median average. We talked about MLS. I don't. We could get into it a little bit more, but I think that, like I said, we're just wanting you to know that, hey, 2025 is looking great. Don't be scared to jump in this market, whether you're buying or selling. There's always someone here to buy. There's always someone. Will your house sit as a seller a little bit more? Sure. We are doing a fix and flip. Our house has been sitting for a couple of months now. And as a seller, yes, it's scary. But, I know if I put my real estate hat on, we just need a little bit more time. Maybe pricing needs to be changed a little bit. Me as a realtor, I have the same issues as sellers.
As you are now having to wear both of those hats.
I am.
And I've heard people say, it's good to be on the other end sometimes to remind yourself of what your clients are going through and those conversations you're having with your clients, and kind of put your feet in their shoes, if you will. No, I think we're kind of at the same point. It felt like we were going to be further along than this. It just seems like this holding pattern that we've been stuck in since June of 2022. It's like, man, when are we going to be able to get out of this?
Exactly. And I think you're going to see a lot of changes in both real estate and mortgages if you haven't already. A lot of realtors and mortgage brokers getting out of the business. Patrick and I are planning and intend to stay. So feel free to reach out.
We do. We're not going anywhere. 20 years in the business myself, I think 25 for you.
Yeah, just hit 20 years here at RE/MAX Professionals this month. And,
congratulations.
23 years, 2002.
In the business.
What is that?
Yeah, 23.
Yeah.
Yep, she's not that good at math. So
talking about stereotypes, that one is not really working out for me.
She is a bad driver, though.
I am not.
So the holding pattern that we're stuck in, though, I do see man, it has to let loose here this year.
Well, yeah,
and the amount of activity that I'm seeing already in these first couple weeks of January is telling me that people, whether rates come down or not, they're tired of waiting, and they are like, I guess I'm just going to have to make the move. It doesn't matter whether rates come down or not.
Correct.
The beautiful thing is, and I know we've talked about this in the past, is the whole marry the house and date the rate.
Yes.
Buy now, take advantage of the amount of inventory we see in Denver, which we haven't seen in a really long time.
Yes.
You've got houses sitting on the market for longer. Sellers are going to be more motivated, maybe to help you buy down the rate, give you some seller concessions.
Yes.
Get in that house, start building equity.
That's right.
And then we can refinance you down the road.
Good job.
All right.
And on that note.
Yeah. So I guess we're going to wrap things up.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you have found this podcast helpful, informative, please give us a like, share us. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube.
Yay. See you guys next time.
See ya.